Get more on this now with Phil Robertson, who's the Deputy Director of Human Rights Watch's Asia Division. He joins us now from Bangkok. Good to have you back with us, Phil. So we have another execution in Singapore for what many around the world would consider more of a minor drugs-related offence. Tell us more about your reaction to what we're seeing in Singapore right now.
Well, I mean, the execution of Tangaraju was just outrageous and unacceptable. And, you know, it looks like Singapore is launching a renewed spree to empty their death row. This is part of their misguided deterrence effort. They think that this is going to show that they're tough on drugs. What it's actually showing is that Singapore's, image of a modern civilized country is just a mirage. That the poorest people like this person, who had limited English, who didn't have access to a lawyer, who didn't have any contact with the drugs he was alleged to have trafficked. It's a major miscarriage of justice, and it shows again that Singapore is not really concerned about human rights. It's just concerned about looking tough.
Authorities in Singapore would argue that their zero-tolerance approach to drugs-related offences acts as a deterrent. Is there anything to suggest that that is the case?
There's been no evidence to show that. In fact, drug trafficking continues into Singapore. What they're just doing is executing the sort of minor players, the people that they catch. And so the reality is that, it's not providing any sort of significant deterrence. There's been many studies that show that actually using the drug death penalty against drugs doesn't actually reduce drug usage or any of these other things that governments like Singapore are claiming.
Time and time again, when these executions do happen, we have a similar reaction from human rights organisations such as yours, yet authorities in Singapore seem to be doubling down on this approach. Do you have any hope that perhaps one day Singapore might change its stance?
Well, I think we've seen in Malaysia a real change of heart, where there's a move to get rid of the mandatory death penalty that your report included. That is, I think, the way that the region is moving. We're seeing countries that are either have moratoriums on use of the death penalty or are moving to abolish the death penalty. So I think Singapore is increasingly more isolated. They're left with the likes of Myanmar, which executed some people last year, 4 political prisoners. Yeah, and that's not good company to be in. And so I hope ultimately Singapore would realize that the death penalty is abhorrent, it is cruel and unusual punishment, and it should be done away with.
Okay, Phil Robertson from Human Rights Watch. We'll have to leave it there, but great to get your analysis as always. Thank you.
Thank you.